So how much are you worth? I have no idea. How much do you want? I just want to know what you're worth. More than 10 million? Oh my, yes. Why are you doing it? How much better can you eat? What could you buy that you can't afford already? The future. The future. Now where's the girl?
It sounds familiar, and I feel like I know it, but I cannot.
Your first hint would be you saw it this year and you really liked it.
I saw it this year,
Mm-hmm.
and I really liked it.
Like, super liked it.
Was it Bullet Train?
No, it's a little older than that.
A little older. And I saw it this year.
Big fan of the genre. Big fan.
Is it Chinatown?
Well, you know, Joey, it is Chinatown.
Ah,
You and I have unfinished business.
Oh? And what's so stinking about it?
Non mi piace il feeling. Spirito Santo. I think this just might be my masterpiece.
Welcome to the Average Joe's Movie Clubcast. This is Justin.
and I'm Joey.
All right, we've decided we're not too old for this shit already as we tackle another one of my all-time favorite movies with There Will Be Blood from Paul Thomas Anderson. Plus, they may be gentlemen, but they sure do a lot of kicking ass as we check out Joey's pick, that first Kingsman movie, The Secret Service from 2014.
And just a heads up, we do discuss our full thoughts on these films. So if you've not seen one, skip ahead to avoid Rust. Any spoilers, or pause, go watch, come back, and then have fun, all that cool stuff.
Make sure to be a part of the Movie Clubcast yourself. I know we're not getting together as much lately, but when we do, it's good times. Hit that subscribe button, the bell notification, so you can hear from us when we are new, like right now.
Right now, hopefully, maybe summer. So I know summer's rough, usually, for you with all the different stuff you have going on, your vacations and what have you. And I've had a very just weird and rough summer. So hopefully, going forward, it'll be a little bit more regular if we can manage it.
You have contacts in? I'm so not used to seeing you with no glasses.
No, they were just dirty.
Oh, that's better. Okay.
I mean, I can go put some in if you want, but I don't.
No, you're fine.
Typically wear those unless I'm like driving a long time or something.
Okay. Yeah, very busy summer with camps and vacations and so forth. But yeah, kids went back to school last week. But geez, with fall activities, it's just more craziness. So definitely not going to be in any kind of groove. Probably less sleep. So how you been?
I mean, I've been all right. I've been making it, just trying to trying to literally survive. Pretty new job. Still trying to financially recover. But I'm making it, and yeah, I'm here to talk about some movies and have a good damn time.
Cool beans. With that being said, let's get into what we've been watching lately with the good, the bad, and the ugly. All right, so I didn't hide that part of the script. Haha. Anyways, so mine are As Wacky as Trouble Gets, Purple Cobras, and Classically Generic, I guess.
Well, I only have two. I'll show you how little movies I've been watching. I have Nostalgia City and Still Pretty Funny.
Okay. What's nostalgic for you these days?
Oh, well, I guess if we want to go, you have three and I have two. You should go, I should go. Yeah. All right, well, we'll just do As Wacky
Okay.
Awesome as Trouble Gets. Since you.
Okay, so the night before school got back in session, I wanted to watch something with the kiddos, so we popped in Big Trouble in Little China. Have you seen said John Carpenter film? Yes.
Yes, I have. Big Trouble in Little China is fantastic.
It's weird because it flies by, it's crazy as shit, and then like afterwards you're like, wait, what happened in that movie again? Yeah, I had the hardest time remembering what was going on with the plot here, but I mean, essentially, you know, like he gets wrapped up in this this crazy Chinatown underworld like magical thing, and this guy's trying to come back to life by getting this green-eyed girl, and his girl gets wrapped up in it, and yeah, just all kinds of craziness.
Kim
Guys
Cattrall,
with big
if I'm
old
not
Raiden hats
mistaken.
doing from Sex and the City.
Yeah. Oh, it's funny that you say
Yeah.
the Raiden hats. I'm pretty sure that is exactly where Raiden came from. Was that movie, if I am not mistaken? Because I think even if you remember, if you won with Raiden, he would do the little thing where he'd put his hands up on each side, and I'm pretty sure they do that in that movie too, if my memory serves. I was like, they just literally stole Raiden straight from that movie.
Yep. And then you have this like wild like Yeti creature like kind of hiding around the corner, and then like the baddie turns into this crazy wizard kind of guy with like glowing eyes and mouth. So yeah, craziness all around. The kids I tried to show it to them a couple years ago, but they fell asleep when we were watching on New Year's Eve, but they made it through it this time, and yeah, I thought it was an okay show. So this was one of the movies. This is the first movie I ever saw on Laserdisc. I went to my uncle's cabin, and yeah, he had a Laserdisc collection, and he thought we could have some fun watching that one. So he wasn't wrong.
Nice. I've only ever seen one
Jack
thing
Burton,
on
right?
Laserdisc. Ah, yes, Jack Burton, yeah. And the only thing I ever saw on Laserdisc was in school, and it was
Weird.
it was like the wilds of Africa, but I just remember that the substitute teacher pronounced it like the wilds of Africa, and that we all made fun of them for the rest of the day. And clearly, 20-something years later, it's still stuck in my head. So,
Quite the moment. All right, now let's get nostalgic with Joey.
all right, Nostalgia City. Well, the movie itself is not nostalgic because the movie itself is from this year. But anybody that's around our age that grew up in the 80s and into the 90s, it was all about Super Mario Brothers, and it just hit on all the right notes and beats. You got all of the the throwbacks to like Jumpman and like Mario versus Donkey Kong, and then your different Mario Karts and Smash Brothers, and just all they did a really good job of incorporating like all the different suits and Marios and all that kind of stuff. It was a lot of fun. It was a good time. I think my only real gripe was they had all of this licensed music in there, and there's the scene where they're going into like Bowser, and they just have generic metal. So they didn't go and get an Ozzy song or a Metallica song or something else. And then I know Carl's big gripe was they used, I don't remember, one of the licensed songs when they were starting to do the first thing on the carts when they got to DK World, and instead of Jungle Japes. And it's like, yeah, they could have saved the money, used Jungle Japes, and then had a non-generic metal song. But yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think I talked about this a few episodes ago. Definitely enjoyed it as well. All the numerous references, and I still think the fact that they actually did like platforming in the movie was pretty impressive.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
squeezed that in.
yeah. No, it was. I think it was very well done. And surprisingly, it like to me, it didn't sound like Star Lord as Mario. That was kind of one of the things I was worried about, was that it was just going to sound like Star Lord. But I think he did a really good job. I think all the characters did a really good job. I mean, there was no way to not tell that was Jack Black as Bowser, though, especially once he started singing. It was like, bro, this is some Tenacious D up in here. But
Yeah,
yeah, no,
it
it
worked
was.
though.
Yeah, oh yeah, no, it was hella good. So that is, free to
All right,
stream
where
on
you wanna go next?
Peacock for anybody who wants to watch that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how I watched it, on the Peacock. All right, just what's classically generic, you guess?
All right, so there was this evening where I found myself with actually nothing to watch, nothing that I wanted to particularly dive into, anyways. So I scrolled through Disney Plus looking for some nostalgic gems, and there was something I had never seen before: Turner and Hooch with Tom Hanks. This
Oh
is
boy.
only an hour and a half buddy cop dog movie, and it has every story beat you could possibly imagine from a buddy cop movie with dogs. Yeah, extremely generic, but I mean, I can see how, like, I thought it was gonna be more of a classic, but just hitting all those same beats that we've seen over and over, kind of diminished that. This might have actually inspired some of those beats, so maybe it's held up in greater regard that in that aspect. But I think Beethoven did this movie way better, and we didn't have to see Tom Hanks walking around in his black underpants.
Oh, you don't like Tom Hanks's black underpants?
No, I was more into the family from Beethoven.
All right, fair enough.
Grew up
Fair
with
enough.
that one, so I guess that have you seen Turner and Hooch?
It has been a long, long time. I saw it, 20, probably over 20 years ago. Like, I don't remember much other than it was like a hound, right? It was like a hound dog. And he
Yeah, it's a
slobbered
big dog.
everywhere.
It's a big ugly dog, and
Slobbered
yeah, with
everywhere,
me
kind of like
not being
Beethoven.
the biggest fan, yeah, essentially. But I think Beethoven's a better looking dog. This dog looked pretty rough. So
Yeah, well, I mean,
that
Beethoven
part
was
wasn't winning me
a
over.
Bernard, right? A Saint Bernard.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
looking dog.
Yeah, got that dog in him.
I actually found a thing called 1 Minute Animals or something on YouTube. They have like shorts, and then like they do this whole like at least like a 60-second clip about like all like these different dog breeds and stuff. It's pretty cool learning.
Okay,
Kind of
that's
find
cool.
out what each dog is like. It's like was bred for and what they're good for. Not that I'm getting a dog anytime soon. We just got a new cat, but
I mean,
gotta
it's
harass the
always
wife about these things.
good to have the information, just general knowledge.
Yeah. But yeah, Turner and Hooch is an okay watch, but kind of seemed like I'd already watched it before since it not much fresh there.
All right, so for still pretty funny for me, was This Is the End.
Okay.
I hadn't seen that since either in theaters or like shortly after theaters, so like 10 years or so. And it didn't hold up 100% great, but it was still pretty funny. I mean, it's a lot of really funny people in the movie playing exaggerated versions of themselves, and the end of the world.
Especially Jonah Hill.
Yeah, Jonah Hill. And Michael Cera just on cocaine. So yeah,
He got killed
it was.
in that, right?
Yes, a lot of people got killed. He also got killed. Channing
I was
Tatum.
surprised that ended up having like that's the movie where like they do something like noble and they get sent to heaven or like
Yes, during
something
the apocalypse,
this
yes.
giant demon.
Yes, there's a giant demon, and so Craig Robinson was the first one. Once they were in the apocalypse, he like sacrificed himself and got saved, and then Seth Rogen and I can't think of his name. He's in like all of those movies with them, but
Oh, the main character.
yeah. I can't think of his real name, but yes, they end up getting beamed up.
Is it Goldberg something? It's not Adam Goldberg, is it?
No. I mean, give me like 3 seconds. I will tell you, because I have this one different thing here called the interwebs.
Oh, it's Jay Baruchel.
Baruchel. Yeah, Jay Baruchel.
Yeah, not
Yeah, I was
not
like,
his writing partner, Evan Goldberg.
yes. But I mean, yeah, and the cast was stacked. I mean, you had Danny McBride, and then all of the bit people, Christopher Mintz-Plasse and Emma Watson, and Mindy Kaling, and Rihanna, and Paul Rudd, and Channing Tatum, and Kevin Hart, and then the Backstreet Boys, and so, yeah, no.
Yeah.
I think my favorite part
I
was...
think this is the movie I discovered... Oh, go ahead.
I think one of my favorite parts was they're all in the confessional, and like Hermione just stole all her shit.
Oh yeah.
So
this was the movie where I learned I wasn't a Danny McBride fan. Not a fan.
I mean, he's just the same. Danny McBride is the guy from Eastbound and Down in everything, and I don't know if that's because that's him or whatever, but he was literally the same guy from Eastbound and Down as he was in This Is the End. Like, I want him for a little while, and that's really about it. I don't want him for like a long period of time. But like I said, it was still pretty funny.
Sounds like we're on the same page.
Yeah, it just didn't like. I remember watching this in the theater, and me and my buddies were like literally falling out of our chairs. But it was 10 years ago, so
yeah, I had a vibe.
Yeah.
Was that for Eastbound and Down or this movie?
For This Is the End. Eastbound and Down, I think I watched the whole first season. I mean, it was a pretty decent show, but it's also just kind of... I couldn't imagine now, like, another 10 years or so from it to just how different it probably would register.
What kind of show is it? I've never watched it.
So Danny McBride is a former major league pitcher, and he's like at the end of his career, but he's still trying to like hold on and like get back into like the minors and get back like to the major leagues. And he's like back home where like he went to high school, and so like he's supposed to be like this big stud, but he either got suspended for drugs, like I don't know, he was like a bad boy partier, all that kind of stuff, and he just like he ends up like coaching ball at the high school, and so he has to be a teacher, and it's just shenanigans.
What channel was that on? Like FX?
It was HBO.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a full-fledged say whatever you want, show whatever you want kind of thing. It does kind of feel like an FX show in that vein though, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've never saw Curb Your Enthusiasm and that, and yeah, there's some of these shorter HBO shows I never got into.
Yeah, I never saw Curb either. Kind of want to rewatch Sopranos, but that's so long.
That about 10 years ago.
All right.
Well, that was the first time I'd seen it. It wasn't even a rewatch. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I've only seen it all the way through like one time. I've seen probably some of the seasons more than once, but I think I've only seen the whole show like once. Yeah. All right. So tell me about these purple cobras.
Yeah, I finally saw Dodgeball for the first time. That was kind of random. On Netflix. And no, we did not name the Average Joe's Movie Club cast anything off of this movie because, yeah, it wasn't... I mean, I think I knew it was kind of a thing, but yeah, the Average Joe's is all over this movie. It's a typical silly sports movie. Actually, that's kind of that gives it kind of a twist, is it's this raunchy kind of movie, but it's also tied in with like this underdog sports cliches, with Vince Vaughn being like, he didn't even really want to be a part of the team, but they kind of drag him along anyways. Ben Stiller, he has a real knack for doing like hyper crazy gym people, because let's see, he's in Heavyweights, is kind of that kind of type, and then he's also in this, and so the whole premise is this Globo gym wants to buy out this piece of shit gym, the Average Joe's gym, on the other side of the street, and then they engage in some dodgeball tournament action in order to make it so they don't get bought out. If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. Everybody knows that line.
And on ESPN,
the
Ocho, which they
The
still every
Ocho,
once in a while will do the Ocho. Also, nobody makes me bleed my own blood. Nobody.
Oh, yeah, I do remember that. I do remember that line.
Yeah.
So that was a lot raunchier than I thought going in. So the kids got some of that, but can't ever go wrong with a crazy comedy on late at night. They thought a few parts were funny.
I mean, it's just a little bit of raunch. It'll be okay. It'll be alright.
I think one part I didn't really even pay attention to in my review was the fact that I think they go against like this hip hop team and like a lumberjack team. So all the weird themes of the other teams they take down were all kind of pretty goofy as well.
Yeah, that sounds about right. It's been a long time since I've seen that too. But
all right, let's get into our feature movie one, and we're starting out with my pick, There Will Be Blood from 2007. It's an American period drama, written and directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, loosely based on the 1927 novel Oil by Upton Sinclair. It stars Daniel Day-Lewis as Daniel Plainview, an oil man on a ruthless quest for wealth during Southern California's oil boom, and forms a contentious relationship with a local holy roller, played by Paul Dano. So, hold a few fun facts for us to chew on before we get into the plot here.
All right.
So the kid who played HW, his name was Dylan Frazier, and this was his one and only movie. So, kudos to him.
yeah, he did a really good job.
I think that his mother had never heard of Daniel Day-Lewis before this, and saw him in Gangs of New York. It was still pretty nervous about having her son work with him after that performance. So I think they sent her something a little bit more mild, like Age of Innocence, to show her his softer side.
I mean, yeah, but it's just a movie. Like, obviously, he's just. I mean, not that he was any better in this movie as a character, the character of his character. Anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yep. As you probably know, No Country for Old Men, they were both in the Oscar race that year, and there's a fun fact that some of the smoke clouds that they used for testing during the oil rig fire scene could be seen from the No Country from Old Men set, and so messing up what the Coens were working on there, even though they came out with the last laugh.
So oddly enough, mentioning No Country for Old Men. So yeah, they both came out like that same year for the Oscar, and I watched both of those movies, like once they released on Blu-ray. I don't know if I borrowed them from Johnny or how I went about watching them, but I watched both of them, and was super not impressed with either one of them. And then now, having many years later, I went back and watched both of them, having watched way more movies on both, especially by the Coens, and watched some other PTA stuff. I definitely enjoyed both of them a lot more. I definitely like No Country for Old Men. I think it's more than There Will Be Blood, and I definitely think overall it is a better movie, but I am a little surprised that There Will Be Blood didn't win the Best Picture, because it just definitely feels like it's more of an Oscar baity movie, where No Country for Old Men borders on being an action movie at points. And as you know,
and that one's a little bit more ambiguous too. So
yeah, that and just and as good as Javier Bardem was in No Country for Old Men, I mean, like Daniel Day-Lewis, like I said in my review on Letterboxd, it's hard to deny that he is, if he's not the GOAT of acting, he's one of them, at least in modern times. Like, he can do whatever he wants, like, and it's absurd.
Some more fun facts here. The infamous "I drink your milkshake" is part of a real quote, actually. Apparently, PTA found a metaphor in a congressive transcripts from the 1920s Teapot Dome scandal. So there you go.
So
historical relevance.
Do we know what the 1920s Teapot Dome scandal is? Because that is not a thing I'm familiar
I think it
with.
has something to do with oil. I guess we can look that up real quick.
Let's see. Teapot. I can type. There it is. It's like the first thing that comes up. It was a bribery scandal involving the administration of U.S. President Warren G. Harding from 1921 to 1923. Secretary of the Interior Albert Fall had leased Navy petroleum reserves at the Teapot Dome in Wyoming, as well as 2 locations in California, to private oil companies at low rates without competitive bidding. The leases were the subject of a seminal investigation by Senator Thomas J. Walsh. Convicted of accepting bribes from the oil companies, Fall became the first presidential cabinet member to go to prison. No one was convicted of paying the bribes. And this was before Watergate, regarded as the greatest and most sensational scandal in the history of American politics.
Oh, wow.
All right.
1920s for you.
Come for the movie
Let's
reviews
see.
and stay for the history lessons.
Here you go. As of 2012, this movie earned $76 million worldwide and more than 3 times the budget, and is PTA's most profitable movie.
Oh wow! I thought it
and
would have
then
been. I would have thought it would have been Boogie Nights, but
maybe because that one was a little bit earlier from him and kind of got cult status instead of, because I think that was like his second big movie. Actually, maybe his first big movie now that I think, because his first one, jeez, why am I blanking on the name of that one? PTA filmography.
yeah, I can't help you. This is our second PTA on the podcast, right? Because we also did Inherent Vice.
Yep, that's the one. And Hard Eight is is his first one. His first movie, not as well known. And I believe, Boogie Nights came out the following year. So yeah, that was definitely early on. And a lot of his other movies have been kind of not the most audience-friendly affairs, which maybe why I like him so much.
I do
Paul
want
Thomas Anderson direct.
As I say, I did want to see Punch Drunk Love. I keep forgetting that's by him.
Oh yeah, it's in the collection too. Adam Sandler.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's a weird one. Pretty fun. But I was going to say, so PTA and his crew were pretty loose about where scenes would take place. Sometimes they meant filming scenes 3 or 4 hours in different locations and evaluating and the result each time. So a little Kubrickian there with doing things over and over and over again to get them right.
Yeah, that sounds pretty right. And I guess on that note, excuse me. Also, I'm sure you read Carl's review, my roommate, for those who aren't keeping up or are new or forgotten. I think in his review of this movie, when we watched it, talked about how it was hugely influenced by Kubrick. Which would make a lot of sense since you love Kubrick and that you love PTA. But I also thought it was funny, whereas like I don't typically like Kubrick, that I enjoyed this movie with it being heavily influenced in a lot of ways by Kubrick. I thought that was kind of an interesting.
Okay. I remember that, man. So I remember when this didn't win against No Country for Old Men, but I remember the title of it really standing out to me. And just one night on demand on my cable box, I was just flicking through and I was like, just watched it randomly and just laying on my couch. I was like completely like swept away by this whole idea of this guy down in the mine, and he's doing his thing and you got this really creepy music, and then somehow he drags himself all the way back to town. It's just the whole beginning of this movie. I just remember being so like just getting wrapped up in it, and it's surprising how some of the details kind of got by me from there, but we'll get there. Let's see. So yeah, I've seen this about 5 or 6 times. Had a couple issues the first couple times, and those would be the fact that I was really thrown by Paul and Eli both being played by Dano the first time. I was kind of, I guess, not being as familiar with the plot the first couple times. that threw me for kind of a loop. And then the whole trek to the sea part with the guy he thinks is his half brother. For some reason, I thought that really dragged out. But gosh, this last viewing, I think it's probably my fifth viewing of it. It just all clicked together pretty seamlessly, and I'm kind of surprised it hasn't worked for me this well before. I knew I loved it, but this has definitely been the best watch I've had thus far. What are some of your opening thoughts on it?
I definitely, for a while, we were talking about the two brothers, the twins being played by the same person since they're twins. I definitely did for a while think that maybe, like the brother, it's Eli and
Eli's the crazy minister one, and Paul we only see the one time.
Yeah, so I thought maybe Paul was just like that Eli had done it as like a joke, like not as a joke, but as like a deception. Like, hey, I'm this twin brother or whatever, and it was like a joke, or it was supposed to be something that we
kind of was getting something like that the first time too.
So and then they mention him, like they never show him again, but he's mentioned a few times, and especially in the big scene at the end. So you're like, okay, this was his brother, but it was just weird that he was never seen or anything else anywhere else in the movie outside of that first scene.
It kind of seems like a mistake they wanted to distance themselves from, and it bothered me the first couple times, but you kind of get over it whenever you're used to saying it. Okay. Again, yeah, just can you even imagine, like not only dragging yourself out of a mine, but all the way to town to sell some gold or silver? I mean, I guess kind of reminds me of what Treasure of the Sierra Madre, which I think that was one of the PTA's favorite films, and he watched that and this other one that has James Dean in it called Giant, or some of his favorite westerns. I think him and Daniel Day-Lewis watched those a couple times while making this, so something to look out for. Okay,
yeah, I mean, Treasure Sierra Madre is very good. I watched that earlier this year. I did think that the dude, and now that's been a couple days, and maybe I'm not remembering it right, but he left his pack and stuff down in the mine, lit the fuse, ran up the stairs, and then tried to hoist the bag of stuff out. And then it exploded, and that's what caused him to fall and break his leg, right?
The ladder broke on him, which probably got weakened by the explosion.
Yeah, so this is why didn't he just take his stuff out first, go back down, light the dynamite, go back up? But yeah, I couldn't imagine dragging myself out of a mine with a broken leg and then dragging myself to town. That is absurd.
Yeah, that's quite hardcore, especially with the most ominous desert hill ever with those that awesome Johnny Greenwood score. Let's see here. I was listening to a debate recently about how much you think Daniel actually does appreciate HW. Like in you can kind of see on one end, because I mean he self-admittedly, he just calls him a bastard and basket at the very end, and like casts him off. But like throughout watching it, you can tell like how much HW means to Daniel, like a whole lot. Because let's see, gosh, where do you even start with that?
Oh yeah, that is a whole can of worms, right there. Because yeah, like you said at the end, when Daniel says he wants to go, or HW says he wants to go out on his own, and he tells him his competitor, and he says, "You're not even my son. You're just a bastard in a basket." Is like so, and that he just used him to sell. He used his cute face or whatever to sell oils. Like it does present him as a family man, and it makes him more trustworthy. So did he keep up that ruse, or did it start as a ruse, and over time, he actually became to care for him? I mean, you saw how he tried to make sure he was okay after the rig explosion.
Yep.
And then even sent him to like a special school, which sent him away, but he sent him to a special school, and where he could have just cast him off or something like that, but or was he that good of a con man that that he was that invested in keeping the con and appearances up to keep his appearance of himself up. But then you have the whole scene in the restaurant where and trying to get the steak and the whiskey and all of that stuff, and he tells the guy, if you talk about my kid, I'm going to slit your throat. And so that's a really could either way. I think I think you have to kind of, maybe it's left open for interpretation kind of thing.
In some ways, sure. One thing that I found really striking this time is so he does send him away shortly after because he can't deal with it. He's so good at accumulating wealth, but he's not good at people, and he says he can't stand people. But at the same time, he becomes so attached to HW, and it's almost like he can't deal with it because he has the success of this new well, and he has his half brother come into the mix, and now all of a sudden he can't even communicate with HW. He just wants him to go to bed immediately. He pours half a thing of some kind of alcohol into his milk and forces him to drink it. And that's the night that he tries to set fire to the guy. I'm curious. The wiki suggests that he did it out of that he was jealous of the guys getting Daniel's attention. I don't know. For some reason, I had this hunch that he was kind of onto him, especially because he was kind of thumbing through his diary or whatever. So, any take on that one?
Yeah, it was another thing. Because you see him thumbing through the diary, and then he sets fire, and it's maybe it was some sort of jealousy. Maybe he feels like he's being replaced, but now he can't hear, so he doesn't know what in the hell's going on, or maybe he had figured out that this dude was in fact a fraud, and we found out later that the diary was the diary of Daniel's brother. It just wasn't that guy's diary. So I don't know. That's really really hard to say. And I had completely forgotten about that part, so I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, and it's Daniel can't even deal with the fact that his son is in this situation now, so he distances himself as quickly as possible. I think because he finds that the best thing for the relationship, even though HW quite is not a fan of that, as we see whenever he returns. Yeah, it's an interesting concept to think of how the only real family that Daniel ends up getting is the family that he makes for himself, his partners and his son that he took on and so forth. And the disappointment is an interesting thing to think of because this guy that comes to him as his half brother, he's saying all this stuff about his past, and he comes to trust him for a second, only to totally I'm pretty sure Daniel was extremely, put out by the fact that he was deceived by this whole thing. This he's finally feels like he's getting in touch with somebody he can relate to because it's his family. But this guy's an imposter. So every chance he tries to have at having these human connections seems to be failing.
Yeah, like he said, he is not good at people, and he said that he had it inside of him. He didn't want other people to succeed. So there's just something in him where he is.
And foreshadows HW at the end there.
Yeah. So yeah, he's just like you said, he's just not good with people. So.
Okay, so rewinding a little bit back. So yeah, we already discussed how Paul tipped off Daniel to what was going on in Little Boston. So Daniel and HW go up there. They're gonna quail hunt, and so then he wants to buy the land from the Sunday family, right?
That sounds correct.
Metaphoric about that.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And then Eli's already kind of onto this because he's like, oh well, if you're gonna buy this, we need $10,000 for my church or whatever. And so this is kind of Eli's first little stab at Daniel because they get this little feud going back and forth. Which so what do you think about Dano in this movie?
Definitely plays the super religious leader very well. I mean, definitely cult status. And I don't mean cult classic movie. I mean, like, dude was like, I'm the leader of a cult. Um,
Ah.
I mean, yeah, I mean, but he had those people hook, line, and
you
sinker,
know,
believing
yep, you know all
everything
the
he
hands.
said. Oh yeah, I mean, you talk about pulling the ghost out, and um, yeah, the back and forth, between Eli and Daniel throughout the entire movie is very interesting and intriguing to watch, and how they play back and forth. And I'm a little surprised, we'll get to the end, but I'm surprised that maybe didn't happen sooner.
Hmm. Um, so it kind of gets stirred up a little bit more when Eli essentially demands that he's going to be doing this blessing at the well. No big deal, just a few words, but Daniel is not having this at all. So that kind of unfolds kind of a spell of bad luck on things for him, which is, it's interesting to say. I mean, you have the whole part at the end where, Daniel's demanding that Eli say that God's a superstition, but there's aspects here of some. I wouldn't say there's any like. It's interesting how religion gets played with here because there's definitely like karma involved, I guess you could say, but at the same time, there's no like concrete like spiritual stuff going on at the same time. More concrete business stuff going on because it's definitely a feud between the two factors, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, definitely. And it's, oh, the bad stuff happened, and of course the religious leader is going to, especially, one who is trying to give credence and get what he wants and what he needs from Daniel, is like, well, of course, you didn't let me bless it, so this is why all this bad stuff is happening. It's clearly manipulating the fact that there were no like work standards and safety and all that kind of stuff back
Mm-hmm.
then. So
Um, if I say I spotted the searcher's shot, do you know what I'm talking about?
I'm assuming it's a shot out of the front door of the
Yep.
church. Yep.
Well, from the searchers, you have that iconic shot where it's just the doorway, and then you can see off in the distance. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
I noted another Western we spotted that in, but definitely noticed that a couple times here, even on
Kill
one instance
Bill
where
2.
ah, there was one instance where it actually showed Daniel and Eli within the frame, and it's like zooming up as they're like arguing in each other's faces. Great stuff. Great stuff.
Oh, yeah. There was
Apparently,
definitely a lot
Daniel Day Lewis took 3 years to get ready for this role.
3 years to get ready for it.
Yeah.
Wow. Dedication. That's that method acting for you.
Yeah. I went back and read my old review for from 3 or 4 years ago, and I think I understood a lot of these concepts maybe a little better than me. It's probably because I was looking at the wiki, but watching it through this time, it was a lot more apparent what was going on with the fact that so Daniel has to make this pipeline to get the oil out because I think it might be Union Oil. They're like the prices to export oil out of there is real high. So Daniel has to do it himself, and he refuses to sell out because he sees
Yeah,
himself as this like self-made man. He doesn't want to be bought out for nothing. Go
yeah,
ahead.
he partners with like the other oil company, like the smaller, like Pacific Oil or something. I don't remember specifically, but yeah, because the big
Probably.
oil company also owns the railroads, and so yeah, the export tax, or the fees or shipping fees are, eating him alive. But they offered, I mean, to make him a millionaire on the spot, and a millionaire in the early 1900s is a much different thing than just having $1 million in 2023. Like, while it's a lot of money in 2023, it is an absurd amount of money in not like 1910 or whenever they make him that offer.
So yeah, the circumstance of the business and his like situation, that's probably why I probably thought the whole pipeline like laying scene was so dull the first time. It's just because I wasn't really, I guess, understanding what they were going for. And I guess probably the first time I was watching this, I was thinking they were probably in like Texas the whole time when they're actually in what, not far from Los Angeles.
Yeah, I don't think they're far from L.A. or is it? Or is it, yeah,
Somewhere in
because I know that
California.
they mentioned
Somewhere in California.
They mentioned L.A. and I think San Diego and I think San Fran at some point as well. So, um, but yeah, they're
What's
somewhere in Cali.
what's the name of the guy who plays his half or pretends to be his half brother?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't remember. Da.
Let me make my point. Well, maybe you're looking that up.
Yeah, I'm gonna
One
try to
thing that
find it.
stood out to me a little bit more while flicking through it is so he goes to this meeting with the guys about maybe lowering the transport prices, and at the very end of it, like he's like with his like more trusted confidant guy, and he's just like,
Yeah,
you didn't take him to the. He didn't say you didn't take him to that meeting, but you kind of that's kind of the gist of it. And I wonder, like subtly, if like the big wig oil guys maybe downplayed Daniel some because he had this schlub at his side. I think that there might have been some subtle hints that that might have been the thought process there.
possibly. It was Henry.
Henry.
So it's
Okay, yeah, he's like,
Daniel and
did
Henry.
you?
Yeah.
I forget if he said you didn't bring Henry or you brought Henry, but yeah, it's very surprised. It's a very surprised reaction from the guy that you kind of surprised that you don't see him more in the movie, Fletcher, which is kind of his confidant.
Yeah, Fletcher, he's been in a lot of stuff. A lot of big stuff looking at his filmography, good lord. So yeah.
And
He
he
was
also
in
doesn't
Harry
like the fact that
Potter's.
his mhm.
Yeah, he didn't like the fact.
Oh, that his son's disability kind of makes him look weak as well. So another factors driving his because he's so competitive, so none of this can be transparent on him. So you haven't seen The Master yet, right?
I don't believe so. That doesn't sound familiar.
Okay, I think that was the movie that came out after this one. And there's that whole scene where like they're standing in like this like really thick looking green field, like, and he's like looking through this spyglass trying to measure out the pipeline, and that same kind of look and field appears in The Master. And there's a whole lot of shots like them on the beach and the close-ups and stuff. There's just a lot of visual elements that reminded me of The Master. So, which is in there, they're so starkly different from being in this more desert setting for the rest of the movie. And I would definitely say the Master is more of a cerebral movie. Kind of have the same feel of this, but that one's definitely yeah, a little bit more cerebral. Not that this one isn't. Strong themes here though. Love that driving music to the Trek to the Sea. Yeah. So did you notice the soundtrack much
I mean, I do remember
or the score?
noticing that their score and that it was good and I enjoyed it, but I don't remember anything specific right this moment.
Okay. Yeah, you gotta listen back from some of those screeching violins and stuff. Very, very ominous. I was surprised how so. Once he finds out that Henry is not really his brother, he kills him and throws him and buries him out in the woods. And all of a sudden, Bandy finds him and essentially guilt trips him into having to get back with the Church of the Third Revelation, right? And Eli, in order to finally get permission to put that pipe on over that land, right?
Yes. Oh my god. Sorry, I had a chat going on and I was trying to mute because it just went from being
Okay, yeah.
doing nothing. So, but yes, yeah, he goes straight from killing Henry,
Mm-hmm.
and then he wakes up and then he has to go and become a member of this church that he's been like in a feud with since its creation.
Yeah, yeah. And so the last thing that happened was Eli came up to him to like collect, I guess, the rest of the $10,000, but since the well hadn't been producing yet, Daniel just smacks him in the face and throws him in the mud, and so he's not too eager to go visit the church again, but he must in order to get this final piece of land. He's either like, all right, I'll pay you 3,000, I'll pay you 5,000. He's like, no, you must get baptized. So that's the next part as he shows up and bees baptized, and Eli definitely wants to stick it to him as he makes him say how he's a sinner and he's abandoned his child, which I don't think he cares much about him stroking his relationship with God, but he's definitely pissed off about having to say that he abandoned HW.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Did you notice
Definitely.
the little blonde girl that like embraces him after he gets baptized? That was kind of a long pause that I never really wouldn't know what to make of that one.
I think I remember just taking it as that was, just somebody, just a kid who's already had it, like, it's so good that you're baptized, you're gonna, you're saved, yada yada, kind of thing. That, or it was,
Right.
It was the little girl that, it was like Eli's sister.
Oh, that's the same. Eli's sister, and she's the one who stopped. Or didn't Daniel talk to her dad in order to get her to stop beating her?
Yes,
So I
and
could have played
and
into
that
it too.
yeah, and HW, like, was friends with or whatever. Yes.
Yep. Yeah, the Sundays family's pretty messed up because you got the dad beating on the daughter, and then Eli's beating on the dad, and yeah, it's not a happy household.
Oh yeah, no, not at all.
Okay, so that brings us back to already mentioned HW coming back into the fold and smacking Daniel around. This is the bookend of what we were talking about earlier, where those the bigwig oil guys were like kind of giving them shit, and then you got the bizarre scene where Daniel, when he puts a napkin over his face and mockingly says how he got the best of them or whatever, and then then it goes back to the scene you mentioned where you talked about HW again. I'm gonna slit your throat. So goofy and very menacing all at the same time for Plainview,
Oh
going
yeah,
into the towards the
he's
end
definitely
here.
he's definitely, like, when you think of cutthroat businessman, he's definitely the one that would come to mind.
So what is the principal theme that really kind of stands out to you here? Is it between Daniel and HW? Is it between religion and oil? Is it between Daniel and Eli? What's the most compelling for you?
Greed. It's just to
The
me the
greed
whole
one?
thing is greed.
Kind of
So
the way
it's
the style of businessman he is?
yeah. So Daniel, everything is about money and maybe success, maybe be a little bit better, because if it was just money, like, I guess he would have taken the buyout. But it's to be the best. He doesn't care. It doesn't matter. He wants all the success, and it doesn't matter who he steps on to get there. Even to the point we were talking about earlier when, he tells Daniel in, one of the last scenes of the movie, "You're my competitor now. I'm gonna have to, make an example or whatever." And the dude's, we're in the 20s, I think, at that point. So, he's living in a big house with electricity and, is super rich, and, like, everyone else is probably about to be into the depression pretty soon, and he is,
Yep.
to have
And
every
that's exactly
luxury.
what Eli's bitching about. All his investments have dried up because the Dust Bowl is about to storm up.
Yeah, and so he has everything anybody could ever want, but he still wants more. And then when it comes to Eli, Eli wants everything for this church, and whether or not the church is how he thinks he's going to use that church to get out of there and then become a big and, like, famous preacher, I guess, and then
Probably.
have the power and success that would come with that. And he kind of has, I guess, the power as a spiritual leader, but he, like you said, he never has that money. So to me, it's just the greed or the desire to have kind of everything, and how both of them went at it from different points of view, but very similar in their actions to kind of get there. Although I think
Power too, because he has power
yeah,
over his whole congregation. Like Daniel has
yeah,
power over this whole town's economic future now.
yeah, and then over his crew and over everywhere that he goes, he has the power, and it was about him having the power over the big oil company, and then Eli wants the power over Daniel. Because I mean, I definitely feel like he went and talked to Bandy, and that was, hey, make him get baptized, and I'm sure he
Oh
reveled
yeah,
in that
absolutely.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah, while I was writing my notes, I really got lost in this interesting thought about how Daniel is like rich in like financial wealth, why Eli is rich in like spiritual wealth, and they both find like their own sorts of power. And the big conflict of the movie is Daniel doesn't understand how his financial wealth isn't equating into happiness because he doesn't have that spiritual that wealth, which is where karma kind of plays in. But kind of leaves it empty empty on that side as well, because Eli doesn't seem to be getting much from above. But I mean, his greed's kind of showing its cracks too, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, and he's, he tried to get, he essentially made the deal with the devil, being Daniel, to get the money to build the church, and to build the oil rig and all of that in the town, and their paths have intertwined again when we get to the end, and yeah, he's out of money, his investments have went bad, or because everything's just drying up, and so there he is again, he wants to maintain that power, or whatever it is that he's or maybe money for the congregation or what have you, and it's just he's just at Daniel's footstep again, trying to negotiate with someone who's just a more savage negotiator, tactics, everything.
Sure. Crazy how long this final mansion scene is as we fast forward. HQ, or not HQ, HW has married his deaf friend that he might have been the daughter of his interpreter, not exactly sure. But yeah, it's crazy how long this scene is. Daniel does exactly what he said he was going to do. He locks himself up. He's even have like target practice in the hall. So he's quite the miser, the
recluse.
Recluse, shut in kind of deal. HW says he's proud of himself. He's getting married. He's gonna move down to Mexico, be his own oil man, because that's what Daniel basically trained him to be. But Daniel can't stand that aspect of competition. So this news definitely sours his mood, and he can't take it, and so he has to lash out at him, unfortunately, instead of just letting him go. But this puts him in a fabulously bad, goofy mood for whenever Eli wakes him up, because I guess after after that happens, the next time when we see Eli, Daniel's passed out drunk in the bowling alley. So yeah, it couldn't have been that great of a night after that news.
Yeah, he's just passed out in the middle of the bowling lanes, like a plate of food, and his servant's like trying to wake him up, or his aide or whatever.
Which he starts eating as Eli's talking to him.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. And then we have the whole drainage, Eli, drainage, my boy. Because Eli has gone out. He has not found any success. He's come back to Little Boston. Apparently, his buddies with the Bandai family, he thinks he's going to be an actor. And so now they need some funds to get that going. And so they go back to Daniel to do some more drilling. But Daniel lets them know that, hey, all those wells are connected to that well, and you are shit out of luck. And Eli kind of goes wild about this idea, and then Daniel finally puts him out of his misery with a few good whacks of a bowling pin, and says he's finished. He's satisfied. He's gotten that blood that finally might make him happy, at least for now.
Yeah. I know the end just, you have this struggle between these two characters, for the entirety of the movie, and obviously that's now ended with Daniel killing him, whacking him with the bowling pin. Like, also Eli puts up, like, he runs, but he doesn't put up like any real fight. And like at the same time, you're like, dude, you're so much younger than this guy. Like, you feel like you would have been able to get away from him, or fight him off to a degree, but I guess maybe he doesn't think that Daniel's gonna, actually kill him, and obviously he's kind of knocked out after that first hit. But the movie itself, to me, it just, he hits him, and he's like, this is, I'm done, and then it just ends, and I don't know, it feels like there should have been something else there. I don't know what, but it feels like there should have been just a little bit more right there, and I don't know how to pinpoint it and say what it should be, but.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I think it's a perfect ending, but I could always use more of this story. Maybe one of the best character pieces ever. Captivating Western about business and life. Cool setting, awesome music, characters, and story. 5 stars. Even better than the last time I saw it.
I gave it 4, which was better than the last time I had seen it as well.
Okay. You remember what you rated it the first time? Like 3 or 2.5?
I think I'd seen it well before I had Letterboxd, but I think when I rated it, when I put it into Letterboxd, I had put it at like a 3, just as a probably like, I didn't like this movie, but this movie is good kind of thing. So
Cool.
Yep.
All right, feature 2. You want a break or you want to jump right into it?
Oh, I'm good if you're good, brother.
All right, The Kingsman, The Secret Service is from 2014, spy action comedy film directed by Matthew Vaughn, the first installment of the Kingsman film series, and it's based on a comic book of the same name. Yeah, way too long to get to this one. I was actually going to watch this with my father like 4 or 5 years ago, and like he's like randomly like, oh, I already watched that, and so we ended up watching something else. So yeah, have yet to watch any of these movies, and I was missing out. Kind of a souped up over the top James Bond.
Oh yeah.
You want to read 100%. The fun facts
100%.
this time?
Yeah, I mean, especially I think that's a good description. When you think about the other movies Matthew Vaughn has directed, Kick-Ass, First Class.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So some fun facts here. All of the action is framed centrally. The viewer's eyes never need to leave the center of the frame. Which
I found that extremely helpful.
I mean, yeah, everything is just right there. The entire concept of having trainees kill a dog they have been paired with comes from the Nazi training of SS officers. SS officer candidates were required to kill their training dogs to demonstrate their lack of feelings and willingness to obey orders. That sounds 100% on brand for the Nazis.
It was crazy to see that in this movie. And there's actually a lot of ties to World War II in some of my reading I was looking at. Apparently it was... that's the next fun fact, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So yeah, during and in the lead up to World Wars I and II, the British intelligence service often used tailor shops as fronts for their activities. And then it also... excuse me. Turns out that Sam Jackson overcame a lisp and then surprised the director by bringing it back out for this movie.
Yeah. That fun fact happened to note how, like, it's typical for Bond villains to have, like, some kind of little disability. So, yeah, it was interesting to hear Sam Jackson sound like that. I can't believe that's his real, like, he originally was doing that all the time. And, he brings a lot of good character to this romp of a spy flick.
Oh yeah, I mean, and there's they don't hide that they're influenced by it. They talk about it. So yeah, no, I think I enjoyed all the little quips with everything there. So
have you seen the rest of the movies?
I've seen the second one. I have not seen the third one, which I believe is a prequel. But I haven't seen the second one probably since it came. Like, I didn't see it in theater, but I saw it, once it was on Blu-ray or streaming or whatever.
Do you remember that one being any good?
I remember it not being as good as this one, but I remember enjoying it. It has another insane cast with another, if I'm not mistaken, hugely named celebrity as the villain, and it has another big fight piece to a classic rock song. Um,
Okay.
so yeah, and it has the aforementioned Channing Tatum in it, um, GI Joe in
Oh.
it. So yes,
Okay. Okay. Um, there's actually there was a GI Joe Easter egg at the very end of the last Transformers movie.
yeah, I think I heard that. Talking about the one that just came out, the Beast Wars or whatever.
The lack of the beasts, I guess you could call it. I don't know. Right. So, Channing Tatum. So yeah, this movie kind of felt like Men in Black meets like Loyalty to King and Country. Definitely had some of those vibes of like. I'll get to that movie reference in a moment, but James Bond, but a whole lot more violent and wacky and but still some of those flares. So where do you want to? Let's see. Eggsy got a medal from his dead dad, just like Bruce Willis in Pulp Fiction. And
Oh yeah,
that's what has the little number that bails him out of jail.
Yep, 100%. Just no long diatribe about having to keep it up his ass for a couple of years.
Nope.
So that you
Fortunate
got
for
to.
us.
And you did get to see, how his dad died and stuff. So and kind of kicks it off. You see kind of where this movie's going to go with the violence level, pretty quickly.
Yeah, the whole like zooming towards that like Middle Eastern like castle thing with like rocket shooting and heavy metal music going. I was like, what am I watching? Like Tropic Jungle Part 2 or something? This was kind of a strange opening.
But yeah, no, they led you in pretty good. I mean, he's
Tropic Thunder. I'm sorry, not Tropic Jungle.
I figured that's what you meant. That's one I still haven't seen either. Somehow, some way.
You have never seen Tropic Thunder?
I have not seen Tropic Thunder. No, I've
Wow,
also
don't you
never
learn
seen
later.
Super Troopers.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, those are a lot of wacky fun ones. Yes, I don't think I recall seeing Mark Hamill in this prevalent of a role other than him and being Luke, and obviously we know that he does the Joker voice.
Yeah, I'd forgotten that he was even in this movie. Again, it'd been a hot minute since I'd seen it. The main thing I really remembered was the church scene and the girl. I mean, obviously I remember Sam Jackson was the bad guy, and then the girl with the blade feet.
Yep.
So,
She was
guy,
cutting people up like that Cube movie.
Oh yeah, she was just slicing and dicing. I did notice this time around the first guy who comes to save Mark Hamill, who gets killed, is Commander Norrington from Pirates of the Caribbean. Like I heard his voice and I was like, "That's Commander Norrington."
Yeah.
I had to go and look it up. So yeah, no, this movie it's a pretty absurd cast overall. So but it's so interesting to see like Mark Hamill, but he's not like a superhero or a villain or something because he was in a couple episodes of like Flash, and then he had like he's Joker. So it's just interesting to see he's a scientist and like a coward.
Typical young protagonist in an action movie with an asshole father figure that's probably beating on his mom or whatever, and
It's definitely
not
not
nice
probably,
to him or whatever.
He's definitely beating on the mom, and he's like the leader of like the local crime syndicate. I don't want to say syndicate, but
Thugs, kind of a thug group, right?
yeah, like he's a leader of the local gang, I guess.
Eggsy definitely has some big time moves. Pretty good at driving cars as well. And of course, it's all because he's a soldier. That makes it so you have these awesome fun abilities that you would never expect from your typical British bloke.
Yeah, you're British, poor British boy. But yeah, then he he steals the car, and just it always amazes me when they do these car chase scenes where one of the cars is driving backwards the whole time, and it's like there's no way, because no one's brain is reacting that quickly, like driving around buses and stuff. But then so he ends up getting arrested, and he falls on the knife for his buddies. So.
Yep.
And then,
But he busts out that that little trinket, which has the bailout number, and so that gets him on the track to being recruited for the Kingsman.
yes, and they do. They go to the tailor shop. Colin Firth was great. I guess before the tailor shop.
Yeah, you're not used to see. Last time we saw him was in King's Speech, so
Yeah.
much different character for him in here.
So this, we were always talking about who the next Bond is going to be. Like this, it's Colin Firth, right? Like,
Yeah,
I definitely think he could do it.
Why not?
Yeah. But yeah, you see him. The manners maketh the man, and he locks the door, and then you get to see him with the really cool umbrella that's bulletproof and has like shotgun shells in it, and he just kind of beats the hell out of all those blokes in the bar. And then his watch has got the sleep dart to keep the owner from calling the cops.
Yep, he said if he just could finish his beer, he'd leave him be, but they couldn't let him have that last sip. So aggressive. The action, so like, because you have like people like smashing up against each other, and then like suddenly like someone will like fling this way and get their tooth knocked out or something, or it's just the action in this movie was very easy to take in and very fun.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yes, it was a very fun action movie for sure.
I thought it was odd how Colin's office had all those Sun Times clippings all over it. I guess that's the British paper.
Yeah, well, he explained that each one of those were after he did something where he like saved the Queen or saved somebody, that those were the headlines. They were all about some celebrity that it's, we don't do this for fame. We do this, because it's like the right thing to do. And I guess that was his reminder.
Country, James.
Yeah. So.
Of course, Eggsy can do parkour. Did you expect anything else?
I mean, parkour. Who can't do parkour? I mean, even the guys up in Dunder Mifflin can do parkour. So why can't Eggsy?
Who?
The Office. Dunder Mifflin, the paper company. Parkour. They can't really do parkour, but parkour.
I've never seen The Office.
I've only seen it through one time. I thought it was fine. I'm not obsessed with it like a bunch of people, but the episode where they're all trying to do parkour is pretty fucking hilarious.
I thought their little, like, how they got a tube, kind of like when you go to the bank and like they send the teller the information through the tube. That was kind of neat. How that was their transport system, and like ridiculously far away. And then when they get there, they look through that window, and there's like all these like jets and planes and tanks and all kinds of shit. And it's like, a little excessive armory there. They didn't use any of that for the finale either, did they?
No, not really. They just did shenanigans.
Well, I guess they did use the float up to space suit with the rocket or whatever. I guess that was kind of fancy.
Yeah.
Have you seen Ender's Game?
I have not seen Ender's Game.
Okay, so the part where like they're all like last one standing candidate kind of thing is definitely like Ender's Game here. So they're all making fun of Eggsy, and he makes friends with the one girl in the class. I think there's only one girl.
There's two girls.
With their first challenge. Oh, okay.
Because one of them dies in the first challenge.
Oh, that was a girl in the first one? Okay.
Yes.
So the first challenge is they're sleeping, and all of a sudden the room fills up with water, which apparently whenever they went to film it for real, it all went wrong, and they had to like rescue everybody out of the tank and stuff, and it was not good.
Oh shit.
That's apparently the first day of shooting. But very intense scene, and with it. Yeah, not at all. But yeah, Eggsy goes into some serious beast mode where them swimming from one side from like trying to open the door, and then he like punches through the glass. What's this guy can't do?
Yeah, I mean, he didn't
Meanwhile,
stop him
Colin
getting in the
Farrell,
air.
not Colin Farrell, Colin Firth, right? You hate
Yes.
Colin Farrell.
Yes, I do hate Colin Farrell.
He goes to visit Luke Skywalker, and he gets, I guess, drugged or something, and that puts him
Well,
out for
that-
like a long time.
They blow up the implant that's in the back of, or Sam Jackson blows up the implant in the back of behind Mark Hamill's ear, and I guess it had some sort of drug or the explosion or something concussed him. So
Cool. See, this is why we need Joey here to fill us in on all these things I didn't pay attention to the first time when I was just seeing people get kicked in the face.
Roadhouse.
Yeah.
Roadhouse.
The look of those security guards' faces whenever they see the sword lady, like the sword leg lady, like chopping through their limbs. Yeah, they were not expecting that.
Yeah. I want to know, first of all, where's the backstory on how she got the sword legs, and how is she so good with them? Because like, she was pretty slick. I ain't gonna lie. She kind of be real. They kind of bitched her out at the end when they killed her, but.
Oh yeah, with the little scratch from the poison shoe blade or whatever.
Yeah.
So the plot here is that Sam Jackson wants to give the whole world free network service by giving you a implanted SIM card. But unfortunately, this also makes it so he can be Thanos and make people kill each other.
It's not an implanted. He gives everyone the SIM cards, and you just put them in your phone or whatever. The people who were in on it with him had the implant in their neck, and it was supposed to protect them from the sound wave. But it also meant he could blow their heads up if they decided to talk.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
It's been a couple days since I watched this. Thank you. Let's see. Yes, the death games are all about trust and leadership. I'm blanking to the parachute one where they said not everyone had a parachute, but they did, and
yeah. So basically, the girl that Eggsy has befriended, she's like in the front of the competition. So basically, they have to jump out, parachute, not get seen on radar, and land on the target. And then they get told part of the way through that not everybody has a parachute. So Eggsy starts coming up with a plan, and then one guy gets scared and parachutes out, and then they start, one by one, going through the plan until, and then he pulls at like less than 300 feet, and he goes to get in Merlin's face, but none of them are as crazy as Keanu Reeves, who jumped out of a perfectly good airplane without a parachute. So,
indeed. Colin catches up with Samuel Jackson at his evil lair, and he serves him some tasty cheeseburgers to go with some wine. So that's a quirky moment.
Yeah, that
for
was
actors.
That was interesting, where they're talking about like this like new non-fancy food, but like pairing it with like really expensive wine. I thought it was pretty hilarious that it's like, well, yeah, of course I've had McDonald's with this 1930s wine or whatever. Of course, like, bah. So
they sure had a crazy arsenal for getting people to freak out and quit between what they so they send them on a mission where they think they're doing something, but then all of a sudden they get drugged and tied to railroad tracks, and so they try to get them to crack that way.
So the final three, so Eggsy, the girl, and the main other guy who's kind of like been bullying Eggsy the whole time, the super like rich snobby guy, they all have to pick up the same girl in a bar. And so they're all talking shit, and then they all get roofied, they get rehypnoled, and yes, they all wake up tied to railroad tracks where the dude's like, "Tell me about the Kingsman," blah 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 blah. And Eggsy basically tells him to go fuck himself, and lo and behold, there's a trap. The railroad goes down, the train goes over him, and he's safe. And then the girl survives, and then the rich dude's like, "Fuck it," and he's just like telling all the Michael Caine's characters, which I guess was Galahad, Lancelot. I don't remember. Arthur. He's Arthur, so he's like, he's Arthur, and he's blah 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 blah, and so he ends up getting kicked out, and it's just then at that point down to Eggsy and the girl whose name I cannot remember to save my life.
And that was then it came down to the shooting doggo challenge.
Yes, and then is when we got the shoot the dog challenge. Which
that part was pretty messed up.
That was after. No, I guess that was before. Yeah, it was before the church scene. So
it's before the climax.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that kind of escorts in our third act slump where we think
Roxy. Roxy is her name. Yeah, that's the girl's name.
Oh, okay.
And then
Knife thinks he's kicked out. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, knife foot girl is Gazelle.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the one part where I thought the movie did went a little too far, where they made him seem stupid because he didn't have the trust, knowing that it would be blanks in the gun. I don't know. I thought that was all kind of a little twisted. But
well, I mean, they said there were no more safety. And they said there were no more safety nets, and like, I guess the idea is also where Eggsy took and pointed the gun at Arthur, like he was almost going to pull the trigger and then didn't. So like, what if he does pull the trigger, like, kind of thing. So, but I mean, it was fine.
Yep. Their cool closet with all the gear and the weapons, not quite as cool as like Matrix and Men in Black, but kind of see what's going for.
Yes, but Oxford's not Broge or whatever. So they tied that back in, which was kind of cool. So,
so you do remember the bigot church? Colin's trying to leave there, and then all of a sudden, all hell breaks loose because it's a setup, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, they were already going there, but he knew that they were listening because he had Sam Jackson's character had put like a tracer in the wine when Colin Firth was there, and then he ended up at the tailor shop getting fitted, which circles back around to another thing later. But he tells him to get a top hat, and the top hat's got a listening device, and so he knows he's going to be there at the church, and they were going to test there anyway, just to see what happened, and then you get this crazy, ridiculous action scene where Colin Firth's trying to leave, and then this lady stops him, and that's right when the frequency goes off, and he just like straight up domes this girl in the head, and then the whole church just breaks out and everyone's just trying to kill each other. They just all don't happen to have the training that Colin Firth has as a member of the Kingsman Secret Service.
God, Michael Caine was kind of a D-bag in this.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Alfred was not great.
Yeah. So he buys in on Sam Jackson's whole little plot, and yeah, so the Kingsman guy is in on it, and yeah, that's no good.
Yeah. Well, one of the other thing here, real quick, is at the end of the church scene, Colin Firth walks out, and he's confronted by Gazelle and Sam Jackson and his crew, and he, tells him, "Hey, it was blah blah blah. This is how I did it." And he goes, "Well, this is like those old movies we used to enjoy so much. This is where I'm going to tell you my whole plan, and you're going to come up with an even more complicated way to get out of it." And he's like, "Except it ain't that kind of movie," and just shoots him in the head.
Yep. Good moment. Great moment.
Yeah, it's like, God damn, just this is not this kind of movie. Shoots him right in the head, and then, yeah, you see, Eggsy was watching everything through the computer from Colin Firth's house through his glasses, and he goes back to the Kingsman, and it's kind of weird if he's supposed to be kicked out, how he's back in the Kingsman, but he goes in to talk to Michael Caine, and Michael Caine's like, well, here, we're going to give you this whiskey that's from like the 1800s, and we only drink it when a Kingsman dies, and he figures out that the setup is on. He sees the scar, and then he pulls some sleight of hand, and Michael Caine ends up poisoning and killing himself.
Yep. And then the big plot here is like a reverse Noah's Ark. So Sam Jackson and all his friends are going to be hanging out in safety as the rest of the world is tearing each other apart from not hearing the way, or not being blocked, because like you had mentioned earlier, the people that are in on it have a chip that blocks it, but they can also get their head exploded like animated fireworks, which was kind of pretty funny.
Yeah, that was when they get to theirs. Man, that was pretty funny. So yeah, they so it's Roxy, Eggsy, and Merlin, and they're like on this jet, and they're gonna try to blow up one of the satellites. So they put Roxy in the suit, who I guess is now Lancelot.
Who's like floating up to space.
Yeah, she's scared of heights, didn't want to jump out of the plane, and they're putting her in this suit to float up to the edge of the atmosphere.
Oops.
to shoot a satellite. Which she does, and then parachutes back out, but then Sam Jackson just like borrows someone else's satellite.
Pulls over another one. Meanwhile, Eggsy's being a pretty sweet James Bond, running around that rock lair with metal doors. Very, very Bond.
Oh yeah, that was such a Bond like layer kind of thing, and yeah, they used Arthur's code to get in, his phone or whatever, and they got in, and he's running around trying to find everybody and save everybody, and then the rich kid who was the last person eliminated finds him and turns him into Valentine, which is Sam Jackson's character, and things go out of hand. There's a big fight between Gazelle and Eggsy, and he hits her with the knife boot with the poison. And then he's just still running through, shooting guards, just endless guards. And then they can't leave because there's so much artillery. And then they hack it and they set all the chips off and just kill they killed everybody that was in the lair. They killed like the entire U.S. cabinet and Barack Obama. They don't show that it's Barack Obama. It's just heavily implied that it's Barack Obama. Michael Caine. Yeah. Think about when it came out and it was a black president. So.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically.
I have to rewatch the part. That part's blinking on me, but okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, so it's just basically every world leader who went along with it also died. They all got their heads exploded, but there was just the big musical score to the timing of the heads being exploded. And
let's see here. It kind of cracks you up because Sam Jackson has to have his like hand on this little pad in order for all the chaos to continue going down, and so like he's there and like it goes to like this beach with everyone beating the shit out of each other, and then he lifts it up and then they stop and then they resume. But one of the things they cut away to is this mother, and she has this kid in an umbrella stroller just in the bathroom, which is odd in the first place.
It's Eggsy's mom.
Yeah,
it's Eggsy's mom and sibling.
Okay.
And they had Roxy when he didn't think they were going to be able to stop it. They had Roxy call her and be like, "Hey, sequester yourself from the kid so you don't hurt the kid."
Oh, okay. So that makes sense why awkwardly in the bathroom. But it definitely feels like something pulled right out of The Shining, right? With the mother trying to tear through the door with a knife.
I mean, that is, here's Johnny. Like, I mean, that is definitely what we were saying when watching it. So.
Okay. Just getting some concurrence. Right. All right. After she shot down the satellite and makes it back to that snowy wherever she was, he's just kind of pacing around as Eggsy's doing all the shooting. She didn't have much to do at that point. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, you don't even see her anymore, which is kind of... I mean, I guess she's not the main character, but she's the one who made it in.
we get that that's not this kind of movie, as Eggsy gives Sam Jackson his taste of his own medicine with in the plot, and then it ends in nice James Bond style with him sweeping up the Swedish princess who is ready to get with him because it's not the crazy people she was with before.
Yeah, that and the motivation she gave him was just ran. It was kind of because you don't really have any of that kind of like stuff going on in the movie. Then all of a sudden it's like, you saved the world. We can do it in the butt, and it's like, what? Where did that come from?
Oh yeah, that's what you're getting at. Yep.
Yeah,
it does say that, doesn't it?
Yeah, and then he goes in to save her, or he saved her, and he has Merlin get him in there, and then he locks himself back in the room because he pulls the door shut. But then Merlin can see through his glasses and just like shuts the computer screen.
Yeah, he's like, oh my. Yep, very Bond. And then we get a mid-credit scene a during credit scene where it basically bookends Colin's bar fight scene, and Eggsy's about to do the same kind of shit. So goes around, comes around.
And it's like he hits his stepdad or his mom's boyfriend, and then it's all the same thugs that were there before, and it's like, you guys want a round two? Like, really? But
oh yeah, it was. That is pretty bizarre. Yep, big action romp, some grit. I enjoyed it. Yeah, 4 stars.
I think I left it at 4.5. So I really, really enjoy that style of like the way they did the action. It's super stylized. So
yeah, enjoy it quite a bit too. I have to watch the follow-up sequel. All right, so Joey, what are we gonna watch next time?
All right, so this is one that I own and have been wanting to watch for a while. I've got a sweet Eureka release of it, so I figured it was time to dive into it. And that is The Last Hurrah for Chivalry. It's a John Woo kung fu movie.
Oh, neat. Okay, never heard of it.
It's also in the collection now, so you obviously will like it.
That's not necessarily true, but I do appreciate getting the chance to watch ones that I am not aware of. I am going to go with I think it's going to be the last of my kind of favorite movie series, and let's finally watch Amadeus, the Best Picture winner from the 80s.
Okay, I have never seen that.
Yep, it's quite the musical spectacle, but hopefully one that you'll enjoy.
Oh, I mean, I do like musical movies, so I am down.
Cool.
I am down to clown.
All right, and if you'd like us to answer any questions on the show, just send that over to where now, Joey?
You can email us at theaveragejoesmovieclubcast@gmail.com. You can go to our Facebook page. There should still be a button that lets you just automatically email us, or you can just leave a comment there. We're both individually on Twitter. There's also an Average Joe's Movie Club class.
X.
Twitter, X, XXX, whatever. Twitter, the platform formerly known as Twitter. So yeah, all of those places. We would definitely love to hear from you guys. We do enjoy getting feedback and sometimes even doing shows with some of you guys.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
So Joey, why do we do this show?
Because we love talking about movies.
And seeing people's heads blow up. Good night, everyone.
Go Tigers.
Oh, Gamecocks. That's weird.
Boo.
You and I have unfinished business.
Oh? And what's so stinking about it?
The moment of heart-shaped feeling, Spirito Santi. I think this just might be my masterpiece.